Hello everyone, this is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Daily Stock, we are going to look at the chip maker Micron Technologies, which is finding itself in a AI created sweet spot. And why I am saying this AI sweet spot simply because with the advent of these generative AI, we are seeing renewed interest in the chip makers. The Nvidia has been the darling of the market, but even other chip makers who are in the play, who have shown the capabilities to enable the AI wave and design and develop the chips which can offer AI capabilities. These all the companies are also profiting from these higher valuations in the wake of these AI wave, and that's why I am saying that the Micron Technologies is also in this AI sweet spot as it is seeing its revenues rise, and the outlook is also on the brighter side. So the past, if we just go back a couple of quarters, you will see that the Micron was sort of struggling. It was not even able to generate profit. Its revenue was even less than the cost of goods sold, and this was because after the pandemic days, which had fueled the computing related demand, there was a cutback on the spending on the tech platforms in the second half of 2022 onwards, and that had resulted in the glut in the market with this supply becoming more than the demand, and as a result of that, various tech companies were seeing their valuations being knocked off, and Micron was no exception there. It was being punished by these macroeconomic situation which had turned adverse to the tech companies. But now all that is behind us, and here we are getting ready for this new boom being fueled by the generative AI. And here, before anyone else, the chip makers are going to be the first one to profit because unless they provide the AI ready chips, nothing is going to happen. So that's where the Micron comes into play, and we are going to see how its recent quarter's earnings are positioning the company for the future. For the second quarter of 2024, the revenues have jumped considerably from US dollar 4.73 billion just a quarter back, and in comparison to the same quarter of prior year, we are seeing this growth which is quite phenomenal. Almost 60 to 70% growth is being seen in the revenue, and this is not something which you will see how often happening in this space, and there is a multi-year growth opportunity knocking on the doors of Micron Technologies. And after spending multiple quarters in net losses, the bottom line is finally in the green for the Micron, with its net income being in the vicinity of US dollar 800 million. And this is, as I said earlier, also happening after quite a struggle for the Micron, where it was continuously in red for last years, most of the quarters. Now this is sort of a turnaround, and it is fueling the expectations of better days ahead. If you look at the consolidated statement of income for the Micron Technologies, you can clearly see the jump in the revenues. And if you take both these quarters together and simply create 6 months figures, Then also there is almost 50 percentage point growth in the revenues for the 6 months ended February 29th, 2024 in comparison to the 6 months ended March 2nd, 2023. And with that, the cost of goods sold is also on the rise, but not so much, and that has resulted in the positive gross margin in comparison to the negative gross margin last time around. And now we are seeing that the total income for the first 6 months is still in trade, but it is much shallower in comparison to almost $2.5 billion loss being suffered by the Micron Technologies in the 6 months of the last year, that is year 2023. So here this is a remarkable turnaround, and this is sort of a beginning only, and in coming quarters the things are expected to even get even better. And with these, you also want to know the cash position of the company, because this business is going to be capital intensive. Lot of R&D spend is needed to design and develop these AI enabled chips, and that calls for a sound financial position for the company. And only if it is sitting on the cash pile, it can go ahead and spend to create those capabilities, which then in turn can generate higher and higher revenues, higher profit. If you look at the cash flows provided by the company, there is an increase of almost 1.4 billion US dollars in cash provided by the operating activities. The cash spent on investing activity has also decreased to now $2.7 billion. And then there is this use of cash for financing activity of 458 million dollars. But overall, its cash position is quite good. It is still sitting on the cash pile of $8.1 billion at the end of the period, which is lower by 550 million US dollars in comparison to the cash and cash equivalents at the beginning of the period. And now we turn our gaze to the technical side of the story to see how things are shaping up on this front. For the Micron Technologies last couple of days after the release of its earnings report have been fabulous. Its valuation has gone up almost 20 percentage point from where it was prior to the release of the earnings report, and even on this elevated level it is not really showing any signs of a decline or any correction coming into play. It is still going strong and trading quite close to its immediate swing high of 122. And I feel if it holds on to these gains, and if this gap up open created after the release of earnings report is not really filled by any decline in the Micron Technology stock in coming session, then I feel the prior swing high of around 100 is going to be the immediate support zone for the Micron. And in coming weeks, if there is consolidation, extended consolidation, and then in course of time, if the Micron technology starts to show the signs of the bullishness again, then I feel we can indeed go ahead and start searching for the opportunity to go long with the expectation of the Micron technologies continuing its formation of higher highs and higher lows for next couple of months, maybe even next couple of quarters, just as the case has been for last couple of months, couple of quarters. So keeping that in mind, even on this elevated level, the thing which we should be more concerned with is to look for the opportunities to go long, to buy and invest from the medium term perspective, because this is the chart with the daily time frame. So your time horizon needs to be at least a couple of months, if not more. For the short-term analysis, you will have to rely on these charting pattern using hourly as the defined candle period. And here in today's session, you will see almost flat price moves in the micro technology stock over last couple of hours. And after this quick climb on the higher side, if it is spending some time in consolidation phase, it shouldn't be something which we should be taking negatively. Instead of negatively, it is the sign of continuing bullishness, as this momentum has been so strong that we are seeing this strong bullish bias, which is pushing the micron technology stock higher and higher. Not long back, around the mid of this month, the micron technology was close to 90, and now here we are looking at the micron technology stock, which is 30 percentage point higher, and even on this elevated level, it's still the stock to keep looking for the buy opportunity to go long and trade and invest with the bullish bias. So buy on dips is still a good strategy to work with these stock. Only thing which we will need to watch out for is going to be its immediate swing low in the short run. As long as the price formation remains above the immediate swing low of 107, I feel we will have the price formation of higher highs and higher lows intact. So in course of time, we can expect these gains to solidify and push the micron technology stock even beyond these immediate swing high, and in course of time towards 130 or even beyond that. For the short term also, the outlook is bullish. The only thing is we need optimum risk reward opportunities, so as to ensure that even if we get it wrong, we shouldn't be losing too much money, and if we get it right, of course we want to be making a lot of money. For the long term, the picture is not very different. Just is the case with the short term and medium term. Even for the long term, it is better for us to keep looking for the opportunity to go long. Here also, the price formation is still conducive for the long trades. So buy on dip is going to be the mantra for the long term as well. Now there is this immediate swing low of around 80. I think that is something we should keep an eye on in the coming weeks, coming months, and if there is some correction from these elevated levels, and after the consolidation, if we see that now the micron technology is going to resume its upward march, we can indeed go for the long trade and expect these rally to continue with this formation of higher highs and higher lows to help us in making positive returns from this bullish phase. All in all, my outlook for short term, medium term to long term remains on the similar lines for the micron, and this is not which happens all the time. This case where on all the time frames the stock is moving in the same direction. The only question that remains is whether the price entry point which we have defined is providing us better risk reward ratio or not. And as I said, the entry point and the risk reward ratio is quite crucial, because after the price moves, if we get it wrong, we don't really want to be losing too much money, and if we happen to be right, we want to be making multifold of the amount of risk which we are taking. So that's all from my side for today's session where we considered the micron technology stock. If you have any query or any idea to share, do write to me in the feedback and I'll be more than happy to take the discussion forward. If you have found the session informative and useful, do sign in and subscribe to the Dukascopy channel. You will have equally informative sessions hosted by me as well as other technical experts on the platform. That's all for the day. See you next time around with an equally interesting company to work with. Do come back.